Hi everyone, and welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Chickling.
Today, we're reading the second part of the article about Taiwan's old rail lines and train stations.
Yesterday, we introduced the idea that by taking train journeys, we can experience a countryside and culture of a region.
We can see the countryside from the windows, but the old stations and villages around them also act as reminders of that region's past.
And many of Taiwan's rail lines were built when Taiwan was a Japanese colony.
One example we talked about is the former mountain line.
This starts in Sanyi and goes all the way through the mountains to Miaoli.
It's not in use anymore, but people still like to visit some of the stops on this rail line.
We talked about Shenzhen Station, which the Japanese made without using any screws in the building.
There's also a beautiful village surrounding it.
People come to see the beautiful architecture and the charming village.
Let's see what other areas of Taiwan's railways we're going to introduce in day 2 of our article, Discovering History Along Central Taiwan's Railways.
Reading.
Discovering History Along Central Taiwan's Railways. A short drive away from Shenzhen Station is the haunting Longteng Bridge. It was built in 1906 with the help of American engineers and showed off Taiwan's industrial progress. However, it was only used for 29 years. In 1935, it was damaged beyond repair in the Shinjuku Taichu earthquake. Later, in 1999, it was hit by the 921 earthquake, and more of the bridge fell down. Afterward, it was made into a monument to remember 2 of the worst natural disasters in Taiwan's history. The stories behind other parts of central Taiwan's railways are not as sad, though. Changhua City is home to one of the country's oldest living pieces of railway history. The Changhua Roundhouse is a fan-shaped building set around a turntable. It makes trains turn so they can be stored. Changhua Roundhouse opened in 1922 and is the only roundhouse still running in the country. It's a reminder that Taiwan's railways may change, but they also leave behind valuable parts of national history.
Day 2 of the article begins by saying, a short drive away from Shenzhen Station is the haunting Longdeng Bridge. Now, haunting is an interesting word. We can call a place haunted with ED if there are, or people think there are, ghosts living there. However, haunting means that it brings out a sense of sadness or a feeling of regret when you think about that place. So we could describe music as haunting if it somehow makes you feel sad, or a haunting story if it moves you emotionally in the same way.
好，我看一下这个还蛮好玩的字哦 ，haunting 这一个是一个形容词，它是萦绕心头、难以忘怀的。那么刚刚 Pat 老师有提到嘛，闹鬼的房子，我们就可以说 a haunted house. So we can guess that this bridge has a sad story connected to it.
Let's find out about it. The article says it was built in 1906 with the help of American engineers and showed off Taiwan's industrial progress. We have a few things to look at in this sentence, starting with the phrasal verb with the help of, which means someone helped with this particular task or project. So in this case, we're saying American engineers helped build this bridge.
Right, so 意思就是说呢 with the help of somebody 就是这些人帮助了你嘛 So we should talk about the word engineer next.
Yes, now these days we often think of an engineer as someone who designs and programs computers or apps, but it can also mean anyone who works on engines, large structures like bridges, basically anything that requires some technical knowledge to build and maintain. So in that context, we could say, the engineers made sure that the building wouldn't fall over even if there was a big earthquake.
好，那我们看到 engineer 工程师这个单字，那我们再造另外一个句子哦。The committee consists of scientists and engineers. 这个委员会呢是由科学家还有工程师组成的。So these American engineers helped show off how Taiwan was becoming a more advanced country.
That's right. To show something off means to let people see and admire something good. Now, we can talk about a person showing off, which often has the negative meaning that they're boasting and trying to get attention and being too proud. But when we talk about show something off in this way, it's more like we have something great and we want to show it to the world.
Right, 好，那我们看到 show off 这一个片语，它是展露、展示的意思。那么我们有时候会把它当成负面的说法，说一个人很爱炫耀，我们也可以用 show off 来表示。譬如说 ，She's always showing off to her classmates. 她总是向她的同学炫耀。And in this case, we're saying the bridge showed off Taiwan's industrial progress.
So, industrial is the adjective form of the word industry, and it's used to mean anything related to industry, which is building things, making things, producing goods in factories with machines, that kind of thing. This bridge showed industrial progress, and progress means moving forward. So the idea is that the bridge showed how good Taiwan had become at building and making modern things. Here's another sentence with industrial. Industrial development can help a place become rich, but it can also bring pollution.
好，那我们看一下 industrial 这一个字，工业的或产业的意思，它是一个形容词嘛。那我们刚刚老师提到哦，它是从 industry 这个字来的，是个名词，它有工业产业的意思。所以我们像说呢，旅游产业就可以说 the tourist industry， or 音乐圈你可以说 the music industry。那我们再看另外一个形容词 industrious， 这个字呢是勤勉的、勤劳的。我们再造另外一个句子哦。Every employee is expected to be industrious. 每个员工都被期许要很勤劳。So this all sounds good. And what happened next?
Well, we see that, however, so the bridge, was only used for 29 years.
This is what happened. In 1935, it was damaged beyond repair in the Shinjuku-Taichu earthquake. 1935年新竹到台中的地震。
So here we're using the word repair as a noun, which means the action of repairing something or fixing the damage that has been done to a thing. We often use the plural form, like you would say you're having some repairs done on your house, repairs done on your car, that kind of thing. Now, when we say something has been damaged beyond repair, we mean it is too damaged and it cannot be repaired or fixed. So, for example, we could say, this old hotel needs some repair work before anyone can stay there. And to use the kind of phrase version, since my bike was damaged beyond repair in the accident, I need to buy a new one.
好，那看一下 repair 这一个字，在我们文章中是当名词。那老师刚刚有说可以加一个 s， 常常用的用法，它修理、修补的意思。那所以这边我们文章中出现这一个片语 beyond repair 就是无法修理嘛。那么如果正在修理呢 under repaired. When something is under repair, that means it is being repaired. 好，所以我们就可以说 I can't use my office at present. It is under repair. 我目前不能使用我的办公室哦，因为它正在维修当中。那么 repair 这一个字也是可以当动词的哦，它也是修复、整修的意思。For example, this watch needs to be repaired. It gains 10 minutes a day. 这只手表需要修理，它每天都跑快10分钟诶。So in this case, the damage to Longton Bridge was caused by an earthquake.
An earthquake is when the large plates of rock beneath the surface of the earth move against each other or pull apart. Even a small movement down there can cause the ground up here to shake and even pull apart to create a big hole. Some countries seldom experience earthquakes. The UK hardly gets any. I can remember like one in my life. But countries near where two of these large plates of rock come into contact get them all the time, like Taiwan, Japan, and New Zealand. We could say, for example, the 9/21 earthquake or Gigi earthquake was one of the biggest and most terrible natural events in Taiwan's history.
I can't recall. I think I was 4.
Yeah, a bit too young, maybe.
Right. 还有earthquake 这个 earthquake 就是一个名词，它是地震的意思。那我们讲一下其他灾害，比如说 flood 水灾啊，或者是海啸 tsunami or 龙卷风 tornado， 这些都是常常出现的一些灾害。那么我们再看到 hurricane 这个字，这是飓风的意思。Well, it depends on the location it occurs. When we talk about hurricanes in Taiwan, we pronounce this typhoon.
That's it. Yeah, it's basically the same weather, but a hurricane is in the North Atlantic and a typhoon is in the Pacific. And I think if it's in the Indian Ocean, it's a cyclone, but it's all the same thing.
对，老师刚刚有提到一个 cyclone， 这其实就是一样的东西，只是你发生的地方不一样，我们就有不一样的讲法。那么飓风呢，是发生，老师刚刚有说到东北太平洋、大西洋那边，例如像美国那边的飓风。我们就叫 hurricane。那么在发生在西北太平洋热带性低气压这一些，像香港啊、日本、台湾这些地方 ，we call it a typhoon. How so? We mention that earthquake again in the next sentence in the article.
Yeah, that one from my example sentence, and the article says later. In 1999, so the bridge again, was hit by the 9/21 earthquake, and more of the bridge fell down.
So the bridge can't really be used now. However, we see that in the article. Afterward, it was made into a monument to remember 2 of the worst natural disasters in Taiwan's history.
That word afterward is used to mean after something else. And when we use it, it's obvious what the thing that came before was, so we don't need to add another word or another noun or a pronoun. So we could say, for example, after this or after the earthquake, but when we use afterward, we don't need any other words as the meaning is clear from the context of the sentence and the paragraph. So, for example, we could say, I saw a movie with my friends last night. Afterward, we had a snack at the nearby night market.
OK， 那我们看一下 afterward 这一个副词哦，它就是过后、后来。那其实呢，有些人会说 afterwards 会加一个 s。好 ，So after these earthquakes, the bridge was made into something else.
That's right. If you make something into something else, you take something that already exists and change it into a new thing. Like you could take a piece of old wood and make it into a wooden statue. We use the passive voice in that sentence, so was made into, in this case, is the form the phrasal verb takes.
好 ，and the bridge was made into a monument. 这个 monument 老师等下会讲一下。那这座桥变成了一个历史遗迹。
Yeah, a monument is a statue, a building, or some other kind of structure that is built or made to remember a notable person or an important event. So there could be a monument to a famous and popular leader, some other person from history, or to show that a battle happened in a particular place. In this case, the monument remembers the earthquake.
And we describe the earthquake as a disaster.
That's right. A disaster is a terrible event, something that likely causes many deaths or a lot of damage. We could also talk about natural disasters, which are like the ones you just mentioned, earthquakes, typhoons, big fires, and so on.
好，我们看一下 disaster， 它是一个名词哦，它是灾难、灾害的意思。那变成形容词呢，就是 disastrous。譬如说 pollution can have disastrous effects on our ecosystem。污染呢，可能会对我们的生态系统造成灾难性的影响。
Back to the article, which takes us to another one of central Taiwan's rail lines. It says, the stories behind other parts of central Taiwan's railways are not as sad, though.
We see that Changhua City is home to one of the country's oldest living pieces of railway history.
Let's see what that is. the article says the Jianghua Roundhouse is a fan-shaped building set around a turntable. A turntable is a place where several rail lines meet. It's a big moving circle that a train stops on, and the circle can be turned around so the train can move onto another line or go in another direction.
所以 fan-shaped 这是一个复合形容词，一个 compound adjective， 它就是一个扇形的意思。所以这一句子呢，代表彰化扇形车库里啊，有一个吊转火车头的转车台啦。
Next, the article says it makes trains turn so they can be stored. Now, here we use the grammar make something and then you use a verb. And this is used to show that something can make this thing happen. Now, when we use this structure, make and then an object and then a verb, we use the verb in its base form without a to, without an ing, or without a past tense structure. So we could say make someone wait, make someone stop, make someone tell you something or do something, and so on. The word make can be changed into other forms like made, making, makes, but the other verb always stays in the base form. For example, Ryan's mother makes him clean his bedroom once a week.
代表 Ryan 的妈妈啦，就是一个礼拜就叫他的儿子 Ryan 一定要清理他的房间。所以这个句型介绍呢，常见的使役动词哦，搭配原形动词的用法，那就是省略掉不定词的 to 哦。所以使役动词啊，像是 let、make 跟 have 都是有使某人做某事或使某事发生的意思，但是用法上面呢，其实是有一些差异的哦。我们来看一下，像 let 这一个字，它是一个允许某人去做什么，或者是允许某件事情去发生。那么通常呢，会涉及到一个人的意愿。譬如说 My sister let me wear her dress to my school party. 就姐姐让我穿她的洋装去参加学校舞会，可能是我跟姐姐说我想穿，然后我们姐姐让我穿了。那么 make 通常是指比较纯粹的因果关系哦，那么所发生的事情不一定会涉及人的意志影响。For example, Sherry told me a joke to try to make me laugh. 好，他讲了一则笑话给我听，试着想逗我笑。那么 have 就有命令的意思了，譬如说 The teacher had the student who was late stay after class. 这是老师呢要迟到的学生课后留下。
Let's get back to the article, which says Jianghua Roundhouse opened in 1922 and is the only roundhouse still running in the country.
所以我们知道说啊，彰化扇形车库呢是在1922年建造的，那么是目前全国唯一还有在营运的。We also see that it's a reminder that Taiwan's railways may change, but they also leave behind valuable parts of national history.
We use the phrase leave behind to show that when something goes, it doesn't completely go. Something is still there. For example, Peter just left the office,but he left his umbrella behind.
所以 leave something behind 就是一个 phrase， 那它就是留下的意思。所以台湾的铁路啊可能会改变，那么同时呢，其实也会留下国家历史的宝贵部分哦。In this case, the railways we talk about might not be used anymore, but they leave behind important parts of Taiwan's national history.
Yes, and the word national means to do with a country or a nation. A national flag is a country's flag.A national anthem is a country's song, and so on. Now, as a noun, the word can be used to mean a person from a country, like I'm a British national. But here it's an adjective, and so national history means a country's history. For example, the president said that the pollution in the country was a national crisis.
好，那么要注意一下发音哦。老师刚刚讲到两个字，一个是 national， 这是形容词，国家的、国内的。那当你们在念这个国家名词 nation 的时候，不要念 national， 是 nation。那么形容词是 national。Alright， 那我们看到另外，你也可以说在全国啊，你可以说 across the nation，or throughout.The nation 都是可以的。那 let's make another sentence. The well-being of a nation is the government's responsibility. 国家的福祉呢是政府的责任。
And that brings us to the end of the article, so it's time for today's For You chat question.
For You chat.
So the question is, imagine Taiwan 100 years from now. Which everyday places do you think will become historical monuments? So kind of imagine like things that right now we think this is modern, this is normal, but in 100 years people will think, wow, that's so special, that's got such historical importance. Can you think of any?
I think the first thing that comes into my mind is like a night market, like any night market in Taiwan.
True.
Or basically like the most popular one, like the Raohe market, night market in Taiwan.
Fongjia in Taichung or something like that. Yeah, they could become sort of historical places if the world has changed a lot. I think of even somewhere like Guanghua, the electronics place in Taipei, because right now it sells a lot of what you might think of as modern electronic products, but in 100 years maybe that stuff will be like, wow, this is really old technology that we've moved far beyond. So maybe people, but maybe some things will still be, still be sold there. So people might go to it and it becomes like an history of electronics museum or something like that. The places where people go, wow, this was called an iPhone and people used it. They pressed it. Now we all have phones inside our heads or something. But in the old days, they had these things called phones. So, it could be yes, it could be something like that. It could even be, maybe the HSR stations. Like now we're talking the old railways. Maybe in the future, the HSR, people will say, oh, people used to take the train. Now we fly everywhere with our personal flying machines. Whatever crazy stuff might happen in 100 years' time. And so what we think of as now as being really cool will just be, oh, that's kind of old-fashioned, this old-fashioned high-speed rail that's really slow. Something like that. So it's hard to say, but maybe there are a couple of examples. And that's all the time we have for today and all for this article. Thanks for listening, everyone. For English for You, I'm Pat.
I'm Chickling.
We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Discovering history along central Taiwan's railways. A short drive away from Shengxing Station is the haunting Longteng Bridge. It was built in 1906 with the help of American engineers and showed off Taiwan's industrial progress. However, it was only used for 29 years. In 1935, it was damaged beyond repair in the Shinjuku Taichu earthquake. Later, in 1999, it was hit by the 921 earthquake, and more of the bridge fell down. Afterward, it was made into a monument to remember two of the worst natural disasters in Taiwan's history. The stories behind other parts of central Taiwan's railways are not as sad, though. Changhua City is home to one of the country's oldest living pieces of railway history. The Changhua Roundhouse is a fan-shaped building set around a turntable. It makes trains turn so they can be stored. Changhua Roundhouse opened in 1922 and is the only roundhouse still running in the country. It's a reminder that Taiwan's railways may change, but they also leave behind valuable parts of national history.
Vocabulary Review.
Engineer. Greg is studying to be an engineer because he likes to build machines. Industrial. This is an industrial town. Many people here work in factories. Repair. The owners of the old house had to spend a lot of money on repairs to make it safe to live in. Earthquake. The earthquake caused some things to fall off my shelf, but nothing broke. Afterward. At first, Lee was scared to go on the park ride, but Afterward, she said it was fun. National. Today is a national holiday, so most people in Taiwan have the day off work.
智慧小补帖
Haunting. Monument. Disaster. Turntable.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作，活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net